What a player, what a player, what a player.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Suman to Waadaplaya Concussion Sub-Series. We had 7 weeks of cricket, England touring India for 4 test matches, 5 T20s and 3 one-day internationals. And the series was pretty closely knit. And today was a conclusion of one-day series, which India won. To talk about all this, we are having Adi returning back on our show, who joined us before the England series and did some prediction. Welcome back, Adi.
Hey, hi Suman. Nice to be back.
Great to have you back. So let's rewind a little bit, Adi. So what we did is we pulled up a snippet of your chat in
Oh,
early February, which you had with us to see
yep.
what the series predictions are. So let's hear what you thought before we jump into the series review. Let's have a
Oh,
look.
like the series, right? Like let's talk about the test series first because I think India are firm favorites for the test series. Like there are a couple of reasons, right? One, we've never lost at home. Like India has never lost at home at a series for the past like 9 years now. So having said that, if we had Jadeja, I would be a lot more bullish on India, like winning 4-0. Like I know it's like a bold prediction, but like I don't see England like beating that. But we don't have Jadeja, and given like these are like new conditions and new biosecure bubbles, I think there is a good chance that England might sneak one win in there. If I think it's going to be 3-2 some team, because these teams are like I'm not even saying like I can't even say with confidence that hey, India will win it or England will win it. It'll be super close, and that's my take for this. I think it'll be super close, and some team will just like eke it out 3-2. The Pune wicket is like a bit generally for like ODIs and all. It's typically flat, and it's very easy to chase in Pune. At least that's what I've seen, like especially in ODIs and like other T20s. So I don't know, like that depends on how like I think that's too far out, but I do think that ODI series will also be pretty close. Like to that point, like the ODI team of England has like a lot more match winners compared to the test match in Indian conditions. So I do think it'll be close. But I think toss would play like a bigger role in that because it's in Pune. I think it's a bit easier to chase in ODIs unless you give like 360 or 370, right? Like what India did in Australia, right? But if you keep it under control, 320, 330, these days teams are expected to chase that down. So I think it'll be close, but probably 2-1. Any of the teams like.
Great. So you're pretty close off all 3 segments. How did you manage to
Right.
win?
Oh wow! Like I was surprised. I wasn't hoping to get everything right, like all the timelines. I think one thing which I didn't get right, I should point out, is I was hoping that the toss would be a lot more important. India lost all 3 tosses. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like in this ODI series, but credit to them for defending to par totals, right? Like 330 was like more of a par total rather than, hey, 360, 370. That would have been a lot easier to defend. So India did defend that. That's where they proved me wrong. But I guess like I got the margins and the victories in the test series margin as well, right? So yeah, glad it worked out. More happy that India was able to win both the close series. That's more important, right? Like the 3-2, 2-1, as we all saw, the matches were super close. Even like it went down to the last over, like last 2 overs. Sam Curran could have won it very easily. I think we should thank Hardik for that super penultimate over. In such tight defending situations, the penultimate over is the most important, not the final over, right?
Yeah.
And Hardik just gave like 3 runs or something, and it should have been game over when Shardul dropped the catch. Else, super interesting series. One challenge though, I would say, if living on the west coast in Pacific time, is ODI started at 1 a.m, so it was tough to watch the whole match. Right? So 1 a.m to like 9 a.m. Right?
Why don't we chat about all 3 segments? What are some impact areas and what are pluses and positives for the team? So 3-1 India Test Series. England rotation policy is something which you touched about, saying that might reflect that England is not taking the Test Series seriously versus India. Clearly, the result was reflective of that. So what are your takeaways?
I think the rotation policy makes sense in a larger scheme of things, given how much cricket England is going to play this year, right?
Hmm.
After this, they play against New Zealand for 2 test matches, then India 5 test matches, and I think there is Sri Lanka or Pakistan or both playing ODIs or like limited overs, right? Then they go to Australia to play 5 tests. Ashes is happening, and it and before their home series, there's the IPL. Like all of the main England players play the IPL or want to play the IPL, right? And then there is the World T20 in India. So there, this is like super packed calendar. They're playing like what 17 tests in a year, which is unheard of.
Hmm.
What I thought the problem with the rotation policy was, Josh Butler played like I think just 2 test matches and then left. If I were to construct the bubble for them or rotation policy, I would have had Butler, let's say, playing all the tests and then playing T20s and not playing the ODIs and just go home. Right? Something like that. It's a bit more complicated now because
Hmm.
they are here again for the IPL. India pulled through. Indian players were also in that bubble. It's home, but Indian players were also in that same bubble. So yeah.
Pink ball also backfired for England. What are your thoughts there? Did England play badly or was it the pitch?
I think with the pink ball, the difference between the spinners became more stark, right?
Hmm.
Like if the pitch is doing a lot, and I would say this, the second test match pitch was turning a lot more, like the second match in Chennai, than the pink ball test. Why is that? In the pink ball test, the ball was skidding a lot. I think Axar and Ashwin also alluded to it. The ball has a lot more lacquer, like the SG ball. It has to shine, right? Like the pink color they put in and it shines. It's an artificial color, right? So it's not like a natural color. So the ball skids much faster off the surface.
Hmm.
And Axar and Ashwin, to their credit, especially Axar, was just firing straight balls and ensuring that the ball kind of hit the pitch on the lacquer. So it was skidding much faster. And if you look at like all the wickets, I think there was some article where out of 30 wickets, 20 plus were out straight balls. The ball didn't spin a lot.
Hmm.
So, and England went to the other side and thought, oh, our fast bowlers will do really well. So they picked like more fast bowlers. I think that was a tactical error by them. And here's where the rotation policy I did not like. If Moeen Ali would have played that test, England would have been in a much better position. Moeen Ali played 1 test match, I think. In the second test, he bowled really well, he batted really well, and then he's like, okay, bye, go to your, rotation policy. Had he played there, and then Moeen Ali never played a single T20I. He was carrying the drinks. England made like a tactical error in the pink ball test. They ideally should have had like one more spinner. Joe Root got 5 wickets, right? If Moeen
Hmm.
was there, he's a better off spinner than Joe Root. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, and of course, Axar Patel was a differentiator, right? Nobody expected him to come and take 27 wickets in his debut series.
Yeah, that was amazing, right? I would actually attribute India losing the first test as well to him being injured.
Hmm.
If you look back, there were so many things which England had to do right for England to win the first test. First, they had
Hmm.
to win the toss. The pitch was flat, really flat in the first 2 days, and Shabazz Nadeem was really bad. Like, there's no going about it, right? Like he tried, he was on debut, but
Hmm.
he did not, contain the runs at all. Washington Sundar was also pretty bad. Like he bats at least, so he. Both of them weren't able to control the runs, and Ashwin wasn't able to get the wickets, and pressure was not there, right? All these things, like there are 4 or 5 things which had to happen for England to win a test match in India. So all those things have, and Joe Root, double hundred, super batting form, right?
Yeah.
Against the Indian spinners, and the pitch was not turning as much, so he was able to bat really well. And India as well missed a trick, right? If it was 450, 500, it could still have been a drawn match, or India maybe could have chased down like chase in like the last innings.
Hmm.
But it was 550 plus, and that's like a bridge too far for the Indian team,
So
right?
moving on to T20s, cream of IPL, we had a perfect squad, but
Yeah.
again a closely knit 3-2. India winning the final T20 series. Your takes? How did India and England perform in
No,
T20?
both of them did really well. I think again in the same T20, toss mattered a lot because I think there was dew in Ahmedabad in the some of the matches, and it
Hmm.
made chasing a lot easier. And India lost the toss in the final two matches, which were back to back. We India had to win, right? They were down 2-1. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that was a really good performance by India by still losing tosses and then coming back and winning those crucial matches. And England had like an amazing squad to pick from. One thing I would say is England didn't rotate a lot and trying a lot of different players. They stuck with like the core of the squad. India, on the other hand, tried like a lot more players. So
Yeah.
I think India got a lot more out of the T20 series than England, is what I would say. Ishan, Kishan, and Surya Kumar. Those were like the two highlights. Like they're playing in their debut series, the Fearless Cricket. They came in and they were like, no, we will hit from ball one, right? Like that was a message. Look at like the last few months, Washington Sundar, Shardul in Australia, like in Brisbane. It was the second test, but the first test he was injured where he played against West Indies. Then you have Natarajan stepping in, right? Then you have Axar, then in his test match. Then you have Surya Kumar, and then you have Ishan as well in his first T20. So all these players, they're like, yeah, this is international cricket. It's fine. Like it's actually less pressure than IPL. We were used to play in much more challenging and pressure conditions, and they're performing amazingly, which is like a great thing for Indian cricket and puts a lot of pressure on the existing players, right? Like KL Rahul, he was under so much pressure. His T20 record, I would say, is much better than Dhawan, and sample size is smaller than Rohit, but I think his average and everything is much better than Rohit as well as an opener. But he was under pressure because you had Surya Kumar and Ishan players who are coming in and performing from the first match. And if he's having a lean patch, he's under pressure, right? This was unheard of like even 5 years ago in Indian cricket. You have all these people waiting. So I think that's really good. And I think one thing I would say is like Bhuvaneswar Kumar. I think he was the difference between both the teams, right? Indian bowling, he was the standout bowler. And I think his economy was like under six or very close to six in such a high scoring T20 series. And he was able to take crucial wickets, come back in the death overs. Most importantly, he stayed fit throughout the whole series, and he led the attack in the absence of Bumrah. So really impressed by how Bhuvi came back. And Jofra Archer was like amazing for England, right? He was giving them the breakthroughs, but it's sad that he's injured now. Hopefully he's fit sooner rather than later. I think last I read was he was out of the IPL, but hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later.
And Virat Kohli, of course, was the top scorer in T20. So that's a plus for India with all the debutants. You're right. What is happening is giving Virat Kohli that comfort to play in as a batsman, which is a huge plus for India. So what do you think of his captaincy in Tests and T20s?
Right. I think the T20 captaincy leaves a bit more to be desired. It's getting better. Like I'm not the biggest Virat Kohli, the captain for fan out there. Like anyone who reads my Twitter feed kind of will know that, right? So the challenge is, I think, I'll give credit to Shastri and Kohli on one thing. They are more reactive these days, right? Previously, they used to like, it's fine. We have our tested policy. We will continue with it the whole series. In this series, they were much more reactive and they took decisions quickly, right? Like they didn't wait for the whole 4 matches to get done and then decide, oh, maybe we will change this. So they're learning. And also what I would also say is I really liked in tense situations, it's not just Kohli making the decisions. You have Rohit, who's very actively involved, and I think there are like a few conspiracy theories, or like not theories, but conspiracies that Kohli left the field 2 times in crucial moments during the T20s, and Rohit was the captain, and that time India took the wickets, and he was coaching the bowlers on what to do, right? So there's aspect of that. But even let's say think of like the other matches as well. You have Hardik, you have Kohli, and you have Rohit, and you have Rahul as well. That's like our core leadership group. They come in and talk to the bowlers, right? If something's not going right, if like they need to tactically decide. So I think that is good, right? That is what I want. It's like more like Rahul is their IPL captain for Punjab Kings, and then you have Rohit, who's been phenomenal for Mumbai Indians as the captain. You should use that, right? It's not like Kohli saying that, hey, I'm the captain, I'll make the decisions. No, it's really good and refreshing for him to involve these players a lot more. I'm not saying they weren't involved before, but now we are seeing it more visibly as well. And I think the team is in the right place. Like they kind of ticked all the boxes. And we also need to remember we are missing our two main fast bowlers, right? That is Bumrah and Shami. Shami has been really good in limited overs in the past couple of years, and we miss Bumrah, who's our top-notch bowler. So I'm excited that we missed two main bowlers and still did so well, defending totals and winning both the limited overs series.
Mhm. One gap, I think, T20 series preparation of World Cup squad is the spin department. Do you think
Yeah.
Ashwin stands a chance, or
I think a lot depends on the IPL. I think I was very disappointed, I should say, by Chahal and even Kuldeep, right? Both of them were really good. I think if you look back 2016 to 19, they were amazing. They were spinning a web around any team, anywhere, not even in India, right? They won us limited over series in New Zealand, in South Africa, England, everywhere. Not only just cut down the runs, they used to take wickets as well, right? I think 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, they were at their peak, both of them. I think both of them have kind of waned, and that's why you saw. This is the thing, right? 2 years ago, I wouldn't have seen Kohli and Shastri, at least from what I've seen, remove Chahal and get Rahul Chahar in as a debut, right? But in the T20 series, they were like, okay, Chahal's not working, right? He's not performing at his levels. So they were very quick to remove him and hand a debut to Rahul Chahar and trusted him in those crucial matches. So that is what I liked, right? Like getting youngsters in. And I think this IPL season is super crucial to actually find out like which spinners we want in the T20 team. I think we were like the undercurrent to all this is we were missing Jadeja, who's I would say are like most limited over the best all rounder we have in limited overs. Hardik might have some things to say about it, but he's not bowling as well, or he was injured and he's not bowling as regularly. But we were missing Jadeja. So I think assuming he regains full fitness and does okay in IPL, he walks back into this team. So that's one box ticked. And then you have another spot which I think the team needs to decide whether it's Washington Sundar or Chahal or Kuldeep or as you mentioned Ashwin or someone else or Rahul Chahar or maybe someone else who's performing in the IPL, right? I think all the other bases are like kind of covered for India in the T20 aspect. So there's a lot more time, I think, and that's essentially each team will play what 14 T20s in IPL, and then 14 plus maybe the New Zealand, South Africa, whoever's coming in another 5. 20 T20s is a good number to see like who's performing, who's not.
takeaways for England? Mark Wood, Jofra Archer. What do you think? Josh Butler. I think they seem pretty well balanced T20 side for experience of India World Cup preparation.
They're good. I think the only weak link I found in the England team was David Milan. Like he is, I think, still world number one ranked, or at least before the series. But I think, he struggled a lot against the spinners. Maybe England will look at making Ben Stokes number three, or maybe get Joe Root into the T20 squad. I don't know. So I think he was the weak link for England. But rest of the other things, they have their boxes ticked. One challenge I saw was Tom Curran with bowling, and even Sam Curran when he's bowling. Like he's a great all-rounder. He's done really well in this formats, limited over formats. But I think from a bowling aspect, they aren't doing so well. So, but I can see Archer coming back or like playing all matches again. And then I can also see for T20s, Chris Wokes. I think he skipped the series. So they have options. I like what they did. I wish they had given Moeen Ali some chances in the T20 series to see how he fits in.
And Mark Wood, raw pace.
No, yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
big
Mark is good. Yep, big fan, right? Like he hurries the batsman, right? And I know we are talking about the T20I series. He did really well, and even in the ODI series today, like in the decider match, Krunal Pandya wasn't able to like get bat on ball. I think like India should have scored like at least 345, 350, and Mark Wood was the difference because he was frustrating Krunal Pandya and pace up top, really good. Like, look at the difference, right? Tom Curran, India was easily able to hit him. Now, Mark Wood is not that easy to get away, and like raw pace, good Yorkers, 145 plus, touching 150. That's what you'd see to like. That's what you'd like to see, and he's been like a good a contributor for England in the limited overs part.
Moving on to ODIs, though the outcome of the series is 2-1, if I'm slightly pessimistic, do you think India were lucky to win the series? I thought India was scratchy in the ODI series.
I would say on the other end, right? Like, look at the tosses. It's so important in Pune. India does really well chasing in ODIs, right? Kohli is there, Rohit's there. We know how much we have to chase. I think the bigger challenge with the Indian team is while setting targets, they don't know what to set, right? Like they'll be starting really slow and then there's a big flourish at the end typically. Do we score 340 or 360 or 320 or 380, whatever, like in that range when they're batting well? I would actually say the reverse. I would say India did really well. They weren't clinical to that point. To your point, they're very scratchy. They were like dropping catches or like spinners were getting hit for sixes all over the place, right? Spin bowling is a really big concern. And eventually in the decider, they just decided screw the spinners. We'll just go with four fast bowlers and Krunal bowling some overs and Hardik bowling. I think 4 overs is what the spin bowled in India. I think that I might have to check some stats, but I don't remember the last time India bowling just 4 overs of spin in an ODI. 46 overs of pace, right? That's like insane. So, having said that, we lost all 3 tosses. It's always easy to chase. There is dew, it's a small ground, it's a flat pitch. So, in that sense, India like defended and did okay. But I agree with you that the spinning department was a lot to be desired, right? Like England was able to play them out really easily. Uh, and I think the other point was this ODI series lacks a bit of context, if that makes sense. There is ODI championship where I think the top 7 or 8 teams directly qualify for the World Cup in India in 2023, and 7 to 10 have to qualify with like other teams below 10. But India will qualify default because the World Cup's happening in India, and England will definitely be in the top 7, right? Like they're so good that they'll eventually be there. So this ODI series had lacked any context. It was good to see like KL Rahul back in form because he needed more time in the middle to get started. Really liked he's back in form. I think he's a very good batsman to be number 4 in India for India in ODIs. There's a larger question whether Dhawan, I think he's already 34 or 35. Will he be your opener come 2023 World Cup? That's a question India needs to ask itself. Maybe look to the future and open with Rahul or find another opener. Pant, or maybe open with Ishan, Kishan, or I don't know, get Surya Kumar Yadav in there. We also have Shreyas Iyer, who's actually done really well. I I somehow feel he plays a bit slower, but I think if he plays at 4, that's a good position for him. 5, I'm not too sure. I'd rather have 5 Pant, 6 Hardik, and then play Jadeja and then 4 proper bowlers and have 6 bowling options. Krunal on his debut, and especially after the challenging time Krunal and Hardik went through with the loss of their father, I think it was very emotional for them to come in and play, and especially Krunal, right? And then on his debut, he was able to score a 50, match-winning 50, right? That put India over the line, scoring to 330. So yeah, his batting was good, but the third ODI, his batting, I wasn't impressed. Like I was like, man, what is this? Like, if it was Jadeja, he wouldn't have scored like 20 of 30, right? So and I was also one concern for India, I would say, is the length of the tail. In the last ODI as well, you saw last 3-4 batsmen doing nothing, right? Bhuvaneswar, Kumar also, like you had 10 balls left. You don't have to hit a 6, like take 2s or try to hit streaky 4s, and then 10 runs are there for the taking. And then you had Prasid and Natarajan who are not batsmen. I think that's a concern India have because Bumrah is also not a batting all-rounder or like if you compare that with England, right? England gets Sam Curran and Adil Rashid. They're their bowlers, but they're accomplished batsmen as well. I think Mark Wood also today scored like 17 of 20 or something. He was hanging around giving the strike. So in the ODI team, in the larger scheme of things, spin bowling is like a major concern for India. Chahal, they benched, they played Kuldeep. No, he got smoked around the park, and then they decided let's go in with like 4 pacers, right? Which is fine. It worked out. I'm surprised and I'm pleasantly surprised that despite losing 3 tosses, we won the ODI series because England is the number 1 ODI team and the world champions, right? And they were close to full strength. I think they're only missing Joe Root and Archer from their full strength playing 11, or maybe even Chris Wokes, but that's debatable. Yeah, Morgan as well. He got injured. Shreyas Iyer got injured. Again, I think before the series we were like thinking about this, and I said one thing: there might be more injuries, right? That's like the what we've seen in Australia as well. That's the unknown because players are in the bubble, and I don't know. Players seem more fragile these days, right? They're diving, shoulder dislocation, hand webbing cut, something or the other, right? So even Billings was injured. You're right, like another injury. But it was a good competitive series, and I'm happy like India won all three. Like the T20 and ODI, it could have been either way, right? Like England could have won or India could have won. Just one over here and there, 1 6 here and there, right? One one drop catch here and there, right? Those who decide these matches. It was super close.
And England positives, I think the top order is fantastic. Stokes, Bairstow, and Jason Roy.
Yep.
What starts they've given. I think their weak link is finishers, both T20 and one days. In that middle order, they don't have like a one or two finishers who can close the game. That was the difference. It will be worthless not to mention Rishabh Pant and Shardul
Hardik.
Thakur contributions.
Yeah. So I'll say this: Shardul Thakur got a lot of wickets, and he's like your game changer, right? Like he comes in and breaks partnerships. He's like your aggressive bowler. I'll say this about Shardul though: if you want three fast bowlers, my going in, I would want to have Bumrah, Bhuvi, and Shami, or if not Shami, I'd have Natarajan. That makes our that makes our tail longer. They are more bankable, like Bumrah, Shami, and Bhuvi. So what I'm saying is, if you think of an ODI or a T20 on a scale of 1 to 10, you can expect Shami, Bumrah, and Bhuvi to perform really well 8 or 9 times out of 10. With Shardul Thakur, it's 50-50. One match, he will take 4 wickets for 50 runs. Another match, he will go for 75 runs in 8 overs. You don't know what happens, right? Like, because he's aggressive, he bowls all slower balls, cutters. Like, Sam Curran hit 18 runs of him. And that was like, oh man, I was like, dude, like the match is gone now because the equation was like so lopsided for them. So with Shardul, that is my concern. Like he gets wickets, I like him. Like he gives it all. Like he's a decent bat. In the strongest India 11, I am a bit skeptical of having him in there. You can have him, but have him like 5 6 overs. Okay, he's there, and you have like a backup sixth bowling option. So that's what I would say. But I was genuinely like happy that he was able to get all these big wickets. I think combined in the limited overs to part of the tour, that is the T20 and ODIs, he's the highest wicket
He
taker
was the
among both
highest.
teams. He's got wickets, no question. But economy is also slightly important. This is a lesson for the Indian team. Play Shardul. He gives you flexibility. He can bat, but only bowl him in middle overs.
Or
Don't
squeeze
bowl him in
four
the death.
out of him. That's all.
Yeah, 5 6 overs, bowl him like let's say if it's in the ODI, bowl him from 15 overs to 40 over time frame. Where in the power play too, you have like more fielders outside. That gives like Shardul more protection. Don't bowl him in the death because it's risk, like as we saw. But excited that he's doing well as well. I think he gives like a good option with the bat too. If you go 10 years before, think of our previous generation of Indian batsmen. Think of Yuvraj, he can bowl. Think of Sehwag, he can bowl. Probably more than 10. It should be like 12 years, 15 years. But you get my point. You had Ganguly who could bowl. You had Sachin who could bowl if needed, right? All these players, or even Raina, I'm like, I can go on. Every of our previous generation of players who could get into the team just as batsmen were able to bowl 3 4 overs. Now look at our batsmen.
None of
Our
our
batsmen.
batters can.
No one is bowling even a single over. Dhawan, Rohit, Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul. With that, the balance of the team is going problematic. Like Kedar Jadhav was really good because he used to bowl like 3 4 cheap overs. If one of your bigger bowlers is having like a main bowler is having a bad day, Kedar could cover like 4 overs. Because our main batsmen don't bowl, we need 6 bowling options. So we need to have Pant at 5, Hardik at 6, and then maybe Jadeja at 7. That may be okay. Or you get what I'm saying, right? We are not able to get filler overs from anywhere else. I think that will be a challenge in close matches or knockout matches or where one bowler is having a bad day. That is one thing which needs to be thought of. Or maybe Rohit should start bowling. I don't know, right? Like 1 2 overs. Or maybe Kohli should bowl 1 2 overs in the middle overs, right?
Yeah, Kohli bowled in 2011, 2012 and company.
Yeah.
So you're right.
In 2016 as well. If you think of 2016 World T20 semi-final, I think Dhoni gave Kohli the over instead of Ashwin. But he used to bowl. That's what I'm saying. Now Rohit also used to bowl. I think he had an IPL hat trick 2010 or something. He used and he used to bowl decently. I'm not saying he would set the match on fire, getting breakthroughs, but 5 runs, 6 runs, 7 runs an over, it's fine.
And the huge plus, hopefully, Bhuvi continues the fitness. He's back into form, and this IPL practice will give him. He'll especially be powerful for the World Test Championship with the swinging conditions. Though Southampton is a batting wicket or not so bowling friendly, but I think in England he'll come in handy with Bumrah, him, and Shami in the game. I think we are well placed. All in all, I
Yeah,
think it was a long tour of England. Looking back, 2 weeks from now, if we wait, IPL is back into the fray. So this was fantastic, Adi. Thanks for joining us. Review the England series, preview and review. It has been great having your inputs, and hopefully you get some rest in the next 2 weeks and good sleep because IPL is starting, and IPL
yep.
starts I think 10 a.m. Eastern, which will be what
7
for
a.m.
7 a.m. Oh wow, okay. At least
Yeah, I think last time it was 6:30, so 7 is better. But I think if you have a day game, that's 4 a.m.
mm,
So
double
I'd
headers
probably
also.
wake up for Sunrisers matches at 4 a.m., but not all of the matches. That's for sure.
Matches. But listen, thanks for making time on a Sunday to chat with us and review the series. As usual, fantastic insights. We love having you on our show. For folks who are watching, appreciate your inputs. Drop us a comment. You've seen us follow through all the games of England. We are going to review IPL soon. Adi will be back on our show with a couple of others. And until then, thanks for watching. Drop us a comment and share feedback of what you think and what else would you like to see. And Adi, thanks very much and have wonderful rest of the Sunday.
All right, thanks. Great being back and talking about it. Look forward to the IPL preview. Right.
Excellent. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you for
Bye.
watching.